that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq business landscape.
Good morning and welcome to your favorite program of the day. There's no better way to start your Friday than Souq Business Landscape. Today, we will dive into beautiful things you want to talk about. We're looking at positivities. We're looking at ability for nations to grow, majorly African nations. Then we'll ask ourselves, big question, what is happening with agriculture now that we're talking about space? That's why you shouldn't go anywhere. Now, we'll also look at Nigeria and our ability to add more oil barrels to the sum. Beautiful things are in the place for every single one. Now, we'll also get to talk about, just guess, schools and hospitals that for a while they've had issues with power. We had to deal with, are these social services or are these just deep-rooted issues we have to sort about? The federal government has come out after the FEC meeting and proposed solutions back with words and a budget. These are issues we will discuss on Souq Business Landscape today and many more. Trump just refuses to leave the news. You also get to hear about it. My name is Souq, John Rogers Souq, and on the table today, I am blessed this beautiful Friday to be here with the one and the only, the Oracle himself. Good morning, sir.
Just good morning. It's good to see you on this very beautiful purple cap. Royalty on the way.
Thank you very much. We're following your samples. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
You just look, it looks like a full stop. There's no, after you, there's nothing else.
I'm trying to look like Olympia Commander.
The fair one is by this other side.
Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Doc. Good morning to you, Lagos, Nigeria. And I can't begin to, I want to expose Souq because he's feeling very, very uncomfortable in that attire. It's not his thing. He was actually talked into it. So you should know.
I'm bullied into it.
In fact, so don't.
as long as it's for the good of everyone and progress for Nigeria, we will definitely do it. We will go on a very short break, and once we return, we will hit this table running. Don't go anywhere.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq business landscape.
Yes, welcome back. This is Souq Business Landscape. First, I want to say thank you to every part of this program, those that are behind the camera, those in MCR, those that you don't get to see writing, submitting, making sure the stories get to us on time. I want to say thank you to every single one of you. It's the end of the week and we'll start with beautiful good news. Nigeria is planning to boost crude oil output by 810 barrels per day. That's well above 50% of our OPEC quota. Now, from Deepwater fields through a new cluster and nodal development framework, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, has announced the initiative aims to revive offshore production, which has fallen sharply in recent years, by executing approved field development plans and encouraging operators to share infrastructure to reduce costs. According to NUPRC, Nigeria has over 5.13 billion barrels of untapped deepwater reserves, with key projects like Bonga North, Owowo, and Saba expected to drive output. The plan, backed by fiscal incentives under the Petroleum Industry Act, is expected to raise production closer to the country's 2.2 million barrels per day potential, strengthening revenue and helping Nigeria meet OPEC quota. Now, helping Nigeria meet OPEC quota, cancel that out of your mind, because as of now, the last time we checked, we've gotten to the OPEC quota. We are looking at going way, way beyond it and getting more productive. Doctor, how good is this news going to be when it's actualized?
Well, that's a great news for Nigeria, and it's very, very heartening to note this morning too that we're gradually moving out of the mentality of cake sharing to cake baking. And that's quite a progressive move by the midstream and the regulatory agency of Nigeria, that we are trying to get into the deep waters to get more of crude. Of course, we save more on our environment because we're not going to have issues like pollution that naturally degrade our environment. And it's a strategic move in my view. And if we achieve that, that will add about $23 billion to our earning. So, which means more money for the federal allocation sharing on a monthly basis.
Now you've brought that symbol that we don't like hearing, sharing.
Yeah, of course. Which means that, of course, when you bake cake, no matter how big it is, it means that you're going to share. So people are going to get fatter size than they used to get. People are going to eat and they are more beneficial. You see, creating a lot of jobs, thousands of jobs. And we're also trusting that, of course, there should be local content input into all of this so that the wealth are not just transferred abroad, that some of them are domiciled in here. But on the whole, I think it's something that is welcome, and I think that the agency should be up and running to ensure that this is realized.
Okay, now Priye, let's come to you. One of the major phrases that were there is sharing, not sharing of what is of the output, but sharing of equipment, being able to transfer equipment amongst infrastructure, amongst companies to cut down cost of production. And now we are seeing not just African companies, but Nigerian companies playing in this field. To what extent would that sharing of infrastructure help?
Of course, it will help boost the barrels that we are producing, because if you look at it very well, this is 810,000 barrels that we are aiming at, even though this is a plan. But before now, how many were we doing? 500,000. So they are looking at an increase of 310,000. And do not forget that some time ago we had a conversation about major players, most of them being multinational enterprise, multinational stakeholders in this industry. We are moving away from the shallow waters to the deep waters, and most of them sold their facilities and their equipment to Nigerian and indigenous companies who actually bought these facilities. And I remember vividly at that point in time, yourself, Olumide, and Doctor was flamboyantly talking flamboyantly talking about our Nigerians, how we have indigenous company coming into play. And we have these major companies going into the deep waters. For the fact that it's a plan and they are moving on to the deep waters, it's a plan. So I really hope we are going to get it right and hit the nail on the head and surpass this extra 810,000 barrels that we're looking at. The extra that we're looking at. So I hope we really get that. But like you rightly said, the reason why this hearing is very important, I believe they are taking a cue from what happened in the telecommunication industry too, because even in telecommunication, the major operators, though they are competitors, but it got to an extent where they knew that they needed to share some very, very critical infrastructure, and they did that. And we could see the boom and we can see the results. So I believe it's adopted also in this industry. It's going to go far more than what we had anticipated.
Okay, so let's, apart from their platforms, which is okay, your oil rig, your platform, you might not share that, but logistics, everybody can tap into same kind of logistics and cut down cost, a whole lot of cost. Now, let's also look at selling. If you are projecting, also looking at where are we taking this particular product to. Should we be looking at local refining or should we be looking at exporting?
We should be looking at both, because if we're able to refine a lot of our products locally, the market is there for us to get to. Now, we know we have strong competitors. Russia is giving huge subsidies to buyers to come and buy. And even Nigerian marketers, are going there to ship from Russia down to Nigeria. So the competition is quite high, though there are new markets and new lands we need to cover. But we should be looking at not only increasing local refining, or let's increase local refining, because for expectation, we've not even met the local refining when it comes to that expectation. So our refining at the moment now will be focused on the local market. If we're doing it locally, it will focus on the local market until we're able to surpass the specific level before we can take it out.
Before we can take it out. Doctor, I need you to speak on this. Now, Nigeria as a country, as a nation, we export majorly crude. Yeah. As a nation, we don't export refined product. But there's more money, more profit in exporting refined product as against exporting crude. With this new input, as a country, should we start looking at exporting refined products?
Well, I think a whole lot is happening in Nigeria at the moment that are quite very, very encouraging. And I don't think since independence we've had opportunities and businesses so good as we're having today. Seeing a whole lot of people who are participating, trying to drive the process and see how African can be positioned in the very significant part among the Committee of Nations. Just was reading yesterday that Dangote is going into electricity just by the side. So which means there's a whole lot of attraction that is getting into play here. So for me, we will get to that threshold. We know what we currently consume in terms of petrol or PMS. We know what the Dangote refinery can produce. We know what Deepwater is trying to produce in Akwa Ibom, and all these things put together, and modern refineries here and there, over 6 of them that are operating at the moment. If all put together, that of course certainly will exceed the local market demand. And like they say, if you have the water in a channel and it's over full, it will be looking for a way to flow out. So that would just be a natural, kind of activity to happen. We just get to that point that we have so much, then we'll be looking for market, because it's a function of demand and supply. So you have enough supply here, then of course we can look into the market. And I think that is fine. We've all advocated that all the refineries in Nigeria don't need to import crude, as we currently have now. Dangote is importing so much. And recently, we were told that crude is now the second largest export that Nigeria is getting from abroad. And that can stop with this kind of effort that's been made by the agency. So for me, this is crude. We can't refine all of them. All the capacity combined may not be up to 2.2 million barrel, which of course this addition can take us to. So which means we're going to have foreign earning in crude sales. And if all the refineries are themselves in full operation, just as we heard that it's like Port refinery is on its way back. So if this all produces, the local market can take it. So definitely we will have to sell to our neighbors and to other countries who will be needing the products.
Certainly our neighbors and other countries who will be needing the product. Now let's look at monies. Let's look at FX. Now Dangote is also sending aviation fuel to the US. FX is coming. As a nation, apart from local consumption, how can we stop spending that FX? It still takes us back to importers. How can we stop spending that FX if we start refining more? Do we completely say, okay, it's time to say importation stop?
Stopping importation at the moment, during the...
Not projected, not at the moment.
Okay, projected. Projected, it also depends. Because, during yesterday's conversation where Dangote was criticizing the marketers who are importing fuel into the country, and one of his arguments was that, hey, they are bringing substandard products into the country. So we need to make sure that the Nigerian, upstream and downstream petroleum regulatory agency, step in. They were equally accusing him that he's trying to foment or promote protectionism laws, or to influence the government to undermine the liberalization of the industry. So that the government has done the right thing by opening up the space for different participants to come in and play according to their own strengths, and government should not take heed to him. So if we are talking about importing, if the government is going to make any law, maybe in the future, the government is still going to put into consideration if it has been able to satisfy all parties with respect to their peculiar needs. For Dangote, don't import. We have the capacity to supply both the local market, to feed the local market, and equally attend to the foreign market.
If you were in the president's shoe right now, what will your projection be?
Okay, my projection, of course, will be looking out for stopping importation.
Give time frame. Give a time frame.
But no, it's not about giving time frame.
Of course, when you give a time frame,
because do you know why I cannot give the
why do we need to stop importation?
Because if you do that, you are going to stranglehold other participants.
We don't need to stop
because
importation.
you are barring them from participating.
The issue are quite clear. And I think, like I've said several times, our president is a free market advocate. And as a free market advocate, you allow forces of the market to regulate what players do.
Forces of the market within or forces of the market outside?
Within.
Okay.
So what that means is that, it's like saying that, because China has sufficiency in technology, they will not accept Bangladesh clothes to come into China. It's not true. So it doesn't have anything to do with what affects and what is coming in and what's going out. What I'm saying is, if at the end of the day, which all I advocate, Dangote is able to get all his crude sourced locally, and he doesn't need to import crude, that of course will create some competitive edge for him. Now, if Dangote is selling, and then somebody said he wants to import fuel, he's free to import fuel. If Dangote has a competitive advantage to sell petrol to Nigeria at 250 naira, and the importer has the privilege to sell at 750, Nigeria will determine where they want to buy their petrol. So it is the condition of the market that will determine, and I don't think that there should be any law or policy to regulate how players play. So what that means is that if the fuel that is coming from the outside is cheaper than what we are selling at home, then the onus is on the runners of the local refining to see how they can improve technology to be able to match what is coming on the outside. So this, of course, will be for the good of the Nigerian. As we have seen that when elephants were fighting, the grass are suffering. But this kind of a fight, it's not the grass that will suffer. The grass will get greener.
Okay, while this grass is getting greener, let's look at it from this other side. Whoever is importing will need effects from government. It doesn't matter, we have enough of it right now. Do we? We do. And I think it's quite, in short, I think it was, what is his name? It is Ayo's younger brother, Fayoshe, who was saying yesterday, who just came back, and I could use my card everywhere. I was so happy. And said, God bless Cardoso. God bless Cardoso. Why were we not able to use our card anywhere? It was because there was no FS. But now, government has been able to guarantee, because we have shown up what we had. I remember when I was doing a training in Port Harcourt about, I think it was about 6 or 7 months ago, and I see an elderly person from CBN who told me, and he said, all those things that they are saying about our foreign reserve,
is in paper or the cash is not there. I didn't believe it until we see this reform that are coming out. But today, we are confident to say that our foreign reserve has shot up to over 40 billion US dollars.
Okay.
So this is good for us. And what we just need to do is exactly what is happening right now. We need to get our hand dirty. We need to get more productive. We need to think of alternative. What are we going to sell abroad to get more dollars? And as these dollars are coming in.
So if while we are thinking of what we are going to sell abroad, why are we also facilitating what we are importing from there when we have it here?
Chooks, in that specific case, what I was thinking is that good. By the time we get to that stage where we're having local, where we have the capacity to refine locally, and we've made it quite easy for both the modular refineries and the ones that are coming into the system to access the crude locally, and we are satisfied that market. And the government begins to think, I don't think there is a way for us to keep importing. But if this marketers want to continue importing, maybe I should put a tariff. Excuse me. Maybe I should put a tariff so that I can find a way to turn their attention inwards. However, if they're accessing this petrol outside the country and they have huge subsidies from places like Russia and they're having good access for good pricing and they're bringing it into the system to sell it in a way that is even cheaper or more to be competitive, to be at par with what is refined locally, then the competition will have to continue. Why am I saying that? Because the people will benefit.
Some competition are not healthy.
The people will benefit.
But you see, we can't run away from it.
Do you agree that some competitions are not healthy?
I am anti-globalism by positioning and ideology. I just feel nations should be much more sovereign. But I'm not opposed to free trade. So,
free trade with a limit or free trade without a limit?
Free trade. You see, protectionism doesn't help anybody. What we just need to do...
Okay, hold on to that thought. If you say protectionism does not help anybody, what is Trump doing?
Yeah, but that is it. And that is why you find that Trump is just like a one man against the world.
Is he winning?
Well, I can't say he's winning because
I think he's winning.
No, he's not winning.
He's winning.
No, he's not winning. He's not winning at all.
Okay.
You see, you need to look at the numbers.
Okay.
You have to look at the numbers.
The real numbers as in investments coming in?
Yes.
Or what they are paying?
Look at the numbers.
Okay.
The entire year's people are grinding. Because what you're trying to do, you are saying, okay, you are still looking at maybe in the next 4 years, you are able to stabilize that people are going to put more money in their pocket. But what you're doing is that you're making goods and services on the rooftop. Let me give you, for example, if you put a tariff on a car that's coming to America, American cars are quite expensive. Citizens can't afford it. So what you're doing is you are denying a lot of people, but you're trying to say to try to do what is good. So that is why you see people in a world that is so interconnected, where everybody needs each other. It would be foolhardy really for anybody to think that I want to. You see, but what Trump is actually saying is not saying that don't bring goods into my country. What he's saying is that I want you to come set up factories in my countries.
But they are working.
Yeah, but we have not seen those investments flown in. We have the promises, but we need to see those investments on ground, and then you are able to see what is happening. Okay. There are some aspects of Trump policy that needs to be overhauled, really. You see, the moral doctrine is not something that is workable in the world we live in today, where what happened in any significant country can have an adverse effect on the rest of the world. So that interconnectedness, he cannot undo it. So what it means is that while you are raising tariff, you are only making life more difficult for the people that you are trying to save. So, but what I'm saying is, governments should be facilitators of competition. And competition pays off in the long run. So we live in a world where you say...
Okay, can I hold you now? It's good, competition is good. But what about in a state where at that particular point in time, you are not strong enough to compete?
No. You don't need to be strong enough to compete. We have examples.
let's use us as peculiar.
No. We have examples globally. Taiwanese cars in the 1970s.
Okay. Could they compete?
They could not compete, but they were there.
Good. Indian cars.
No, listen. Just wait.
Okay.
Korean cars.
Okay.
Or products were not acceptable globally.
Okay.
But they were producing. They were shipping. So what you do is that you are looking.
What did the country do?
They continued.
The country itself, just like Tata, is close to us.
They didn't stop other people from bringing cars into their own country. But what they were doing is that they're looking for their own kind of market. You see, in marketing,
okay,
what you do is, if you're coming into a business new, you're not going to go into the red ocean to compete. So what you do, you create your own blue zone, where you are unique in your way, and what you are offering, nobody else is offering it. In that case, you are even able to go into those areas where, of course, those who are major in the red ocean are able to collaborate with you, and then, of course, help you to grow, which is what happened in Taiwan, which is what happened in Korea. So the point I'm making is that we don't necessarily need to block off people. What we need to do, which is, of course, I keep emphasizing on, is the fact that research. Africa must begin to look at, yes, we see what these guys are doing. What can we do differently to create an edge for ourselves that in terms of market competition, we will be able to survive, not necessarily be in the red ocean where life is brutish. So this for me is what is the steps that government should take, not to say, let's stop importation. No, don't stop importation. Allow importation, but let the local refineries find a way to survive. And once that competition increases,
find a way to survive.
Oh yes,
solely or with government.
No, government should stop supporting businesses, and government is not.
Government should stop supporting.
Yes, supporting businesses.
China supports their businesses.
Yeah, of course, you can see what's happening. They glut and everything. So,
but they still support their business.
You see, the issue is that we, as a country, must understand that there's a role we need to play. Okay. And what is this role? Create a level playing field for everybody to compete. So those who want to survive by importation, let them go ahead, don't stop them. Those who want to produce, don't stop them. And let everybody create. What happens is that government live by taxes. So the taxes that are coming in from those who are producing locally, and the revenue we are going to collect by way of import duties from those who are importing, make government more robust. Then social services are provided for the people, and then we are not starving ourselves because we want to protect somebody's business. And then, of course, the rest of society are deprived of basic amenities that will make life good for them.
Okay, Priye, do you follow this submission?
Well, not entirely. And most especially.
It's from my old school.
Not entirely. The most especially the part that when we copy, we need to copy models, and when we copy models, we need to copy models with care. The reason why I'm saying that, even within the confines of comparative administration, you look at administrative laws, that are made, policies, and being implemented in other climes, and you could see the output and the outcome and the impact of that on the populace. And you want to adopt that as an administrator. That's some of the reason why you have government functionaries who will be sent abroad to take up some short courses, some 6 months, some 3 months, 4 months, then they come back. Or you can see some of our ministers will leave and go to the agriculture farms in the United States and take a look at how they farm there. And Lai Mohammed and Audu Ogbe, yes, former Minister of Agriculture, did that a lot, and he himself was a professional in that part, and he said a whole lot of things about it. So
yeah, saying and doing are two different
things. Yeah, so we have to copy.
Go to look at farmer government in Nigeria.
So
to Brazil.
God bless you. So when we copy models like that, we copy. I think the Chinese model is a good model, but I can't say the government should not support our local industries, but it should support with care.
Okay.
In a way, not to do the way we are doing to our state governors here, who some of them don't really look inward or put economic plans in place on how to tap the resources they have locally and to harness it for the good of the people, because they know that allocation will always come from the federal government. That is not the way we should support. We should support in a way that will be able to use our minds and use our brain, get the support. The support will only be as a way of supplementing or complementing what we have. So I'm glad, and the government is already showing support. And the government is already showing support in the sense that that's the crude for Naira. It's quite a good support to make it easy for them to access the Forex, so that they will not be, they will not.
So supports like this to businesses?
Yes, like that to businesses, but not just limited, because remember we're talking about this specific industry. Support are peculiar to industries.
Okay, now it's beautiful that we're having this kind of conversation, not conversations about hunger or conversation of unproductivity, conversation that circles around getting more productive. And I want to say thank you very much. Now let's go straight to our second story for today. Today is a beautiful Friday, and we will have very short, good stories. Now, for those that are wondering, Egusi, yes, you heard me. You heard me mention it in that balance. Egusi, that's our melon seeds, sourced from Oyo State, not far from us here, will become the first agricultural product from West Africa and Nigeria's first item to enter the orbit. Yes, the seeds will be launched aboard the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket on July 34th. That happened yesterday, from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. That happened yesterday. As we speak, Egusi is up there. Part of our International Agricultural Science Mission to International Space Station. The initiative, titled Emerging Space Nations, Space for Agriculture and Agriculture for Space, will study how culturally significant crops adapt to space conditions and their potential impact on global food systems. Led by Nigerian space scientist Dr. Temidayo Oniosun, in partnership with Jaguar Space and Karaman Project. The mission also includes Egyptian cotton, Armenian pomegranate, and Pakistani wheat for comparative research. Oniosun described the launch as a milestone for Nigeria, noting that the study could advance food production for space travel and climate-resilient agriculture on Earth. The project highlights the economic and agricultural importance of Egusi, which plays a key role in Nigerian cuisine and rural livelihood and food security. Yes, welcome back to the table. We are back from the moon. Okay. Now, for those that are wondering, space research has always been in the forefront of research happening here on Earth. A lot of the advances we are enjoying right now were actually researched up there, and now we are seeing Egusi go up there. There is a plan to launch men on the to have men go to Mars. That's a long-term project. Have men live where we are living in space stations already, not Nigerians, but man is living in space stations already all year round, and this research is still going on. While we stay here and look for how to plant on the ground, they are making research on getting people fed up there already.
Well, I like the fact that we are making advances, but I would have loved that the way other nations' crops were reported, Nigerians' own will have to be reported. Do Egusi, is it a Yoruba name?
Egusi is our Egusi.
So
we call it melon seeds.
Yes,
melons.
Yes, I understand. Because it's not even popular, even as food in the Yoruba environment. So why are we appropriating it to Oyo as if that...
No, where it was taken from?
No, it's taken from the soil of Nigeria. And I think we should be able to represent that. They didn't say Pakistan. They have other places in
provinces.
Pakistan. There are Egypt. There are provinces in Egypt.
And they mentioned
Why is our own different?
That to be Oyo instead of Nigeria.
Nigeria is taken from Nigeria. And I think that has to be... Because there are some little things that divides us.
Okay, so issues like this,
yes,
just
so melon is not peculiar to the Oyo people. There's melon in my village. We plant it and we eat it. So there's melon everywhere around. In the south, in the south, in the southeast. So melon is a Nigerian staple. for Souq, as it were. So let's make all these things. So you see, because we must have to measure on the things that unite us. It's the same point that people were talking about recently. We have our girls going out to play, and of course we are seeing governors who are becoming clannish in calling their own in the lot. Two people don't win football, for example. So I think our elites must understand the reality of who we are, that we are one country, one Nigeria. God bless Nigeria should be what we say. So things like this, why it is good in terms of innovation that people are moving to the moon, but we must tell the story in such a way that it represents all of us. So one for all for one. And that is the only way we can make real success as an entity. But that said, and I think it's fine, maybe by the time we get to the space, we will be able to find Egusi to eat. I think one of my favorite soup. So it's good that we are represented, and this is beautiful, that our scientists are also doing a whole lot to see how they can also be represented in the scheme of things globally. And I think this must be encouraged. Our universities, pioneering research, our research institutes, doing absolutely well. And I want to see that wealthy individuals and Nigerians are putting money into education so that this kind of research makes real sense. I was so happy yesterday when I saw Elder James Ibori at a book launch in Abuja yesterday, and he said, I'm putting 50 million on the economics chair in Egusi University. We need to see more of that in microbiology, in medical sciences, in commercial law. Let's have rich and wealthy individuals in Nigeria put monies on chairs to pioneer researches that will place Nigeria first in the mass before others.
First before others. Now, let's take it from where Doctor stopped. Over time, we saw countries, governments sponsoring space research projects. Then came Elon Musk. Then came every other person. Now we see more of private people collaborating with government to sponsor space research. What should Africa start emulating?
Okay, so in that space, we are far back.
We are not in there, so forget about the far back.
So I see this, if I'm to look at this from a different perspective, I'm not concerned about the Egusi and the melon, because to me, it's just irrelevant. What actually gives me a second look at this is that a Nigerian space scientist is going up there.
Has gone up there.
Has gone up there, yes. I think they went yesterday. Has gone up there. That is the concern for me. And the thing is, I don't even know whether he's a full-blown Nigerian or he has nationalized somewhere so that we can know that someone,
he's a Nigerian,
is going to probably come back as a way to help others in this same field, to either teach or probably work with the space outfit in Nigeria and see what we can do. But one other thing I want to look at is the fact that it's an avenue for us to, exercise soft power in the world and also in the continent of Africa. Egypt is there, and a few other countries. Armenia is there. So this should lead us to starting local exercise, local projects that will place us in the trajectory of having a plan. Yes, it could sound very ambitious, of going there too, not just going there. Going there is going to have a spiral effect on technology, knowledge, development. Probably we'll start considering maybe building our own airplanes. Maybe we'll start looking at that. Maybe we'll start looking at other aspects where we have special Nigerian scientists who will be sponsored by the government to go for certain courses, to go get some form of education, and to go do some level of internship and service in spacecraft in Elon Musk's
private
company.
Individuals doing?
Private individuals will come in. Private individuals will come in. We know the level of which private individuals.
SpaceX is not a government project.
Yes, we know.
Blue Gate is not a government project.
Yes, we know. But the thing is, if we have individuals whom government can send to go learn, I know government have some, but if we can proliferate that, I think we'll be moving towards, because if we do not have that, we may not even have a national project to that extent, because as we speak, I don't think we have a national project, because we
do.
Do you remember that it was not once or twice that our satellite disappeared from the orbit? We've not been
that
able.
That particular one was an accident.
It was an accident. We weren't told it's an accident. We told it when it disappeared, and there was no the kind of feedback we got. We got suspicious.
This is a beautiful Friday.
It is.
So stay on this positive lane side of it.
Of course, we are all positive on this table.
Okay.
We have to stay. But however, we need to start having plans. I was saying yesterday that look, the nuclear experiment for the benefit of us having stable electricity or expanding our frontiers with regards to electricity that we don't want to jump into. Just watch. The Sahel states will get there. The Sahel states, they will be sponsored. They will have nuclear programs that first of all is going to boost their energy strength, and then it will go to industrialization, and the biggest black nation on earth might be left behind. We should start now. We should have started long back, but we should start now if we have not.
Okay, we should start now. Now, talking about start now, let's go straight to another story for today. Nigeria's GDP per capita has increased by 21% to $1,095 after the government rebased the economy to better capture informal sector activities. The country revised GDP now stands at $251 billion. That's equivalent to 372 trillion naira for its over 230 million population, according to Business Day. Now, despite the rise, Nigeria remains in the World Bank's low-income category, defined as $1,135 or less. Analysts note that the higher per capita figure does not erase the impact of currency devaluation. That's what we should take note, and also slow productivity growth, which has cut Nigeria's dollar GDP by more than half in the past decade. Experts say Nigeria must boost investment, diversify export, and remove barriers to doing business to regain its place as Africa's largest economy. Good news, good news. Puncture here, puncture there. Where are we?
Well, I think we're on a trajectory that for me is quite positive, and I must say that. And if we are able to sustain this tempo in another 5-6 years, the story will be much more different. And the reasons are not far-fetched. That number one, we have lived a lie for too long, and living the lie, people are not facing, not dealing with reality. And the first law, they say, of investment, according to Ray Dalio, is to accept reality and deal with it the way it is. And many Nigerians don't want to accept that reality, and I think it's important that we realize it. I'm still thinking that our GDP is far more than what is recorded, because we've not been able to actually capture everybody. That's why we talked about informal sector. I'm wondering what informal sector that actually being measured, what activities that are going on. Even within the urban centers, we are not capturing everybody who is active, let alone in the rural areas where, of course, there's nobody even there monitoring to see what contributions that these people are making to the economy in terms of what they are selling, because this money don't find their way into the bank, so you cannot even measure what is coming in. So these are issues that we will still need to have to address. How many people are banked in Nigeria when you compare to a lot of people? But the fact that people are not banked does not mean that they don't have money. It's just that they have other means of saving their money. And these are things that have to be properly analyzed and before we can actually say this is what the GDP is. But I think at $1,500, if that is in your pocket today, you'll be very happy, isn't that?
Well, try me and see.
That's over 2 million naira.
Well over 2 million naira.
So given our economy, with a 2 million naira in your hand, you know, you can live better than somebody in the UK or in America, even in Nigeria here. So I think it's not all bad news, it's all good news. We're making some progress, but I'm so sure that if we continue like this and we don't allow politics to derail us, in 5-6 years, Nigerian GDP should be competing with those in EU.
Okay, now, quick one. Is our GDP, is it reflecting on the everyday person?
It's not.
Why?
It's not. When we rebased, now we are telling us that per capita, jumped to 1,095 naira. So according to Doc, if 1,500 naira can fetch us 2 million naira. So what we are looking at is about a little bit above $1 million. And what's per capita? Per capita is the level of productivity of each person in the country, a level of economic productivity of each person in the country, which is divided by the GDP over the total number of population. So productive-wise, every member in every 200 or more than 200 million people in Nigeria's level of productivity is about 1.2 or 1.15 million naira.
But I think when we say whether this thing is getting into the average man, I think there are a lot of factors that we're not putting into account.
Because I want to
that was also put into account.
Yes, I made some submission here the other day. Even people from primary school are doing prompt in Nigeria everywhere, both private and public schools. In the last 2 weeks, come and look at the money Nigerians are spending to just graduate from nursery to primary, from primary to secondary, from secondary maybe to stay at home for 1 year or enter university. Now, if you use that as a measure, I saw a young girl who was crying and said, look, why are the parents of this age making us feel too bad? That the things we didn't enjoy. Look at the way they are decking their children for just common graduation from primary school. You didn't experience that, I guess. There's a whole level of spending that's going on in Nigeria. And people must understand this reality. So we can't be, people, when you are choosing how you want to live, you can't blame that on whether GDP is trickling down. It's trickling down. People are having money are entering into people's hands.
Okay, now if money are entering people's hand, this equitable distribution of wealth, how sound is it?
Yeah, but you see, the wealth will be equitably distributed when people start to find out their self. I think it was the MSAF guys I was sharing with yesterday, and they were telling me how lucrative it is that people somewhere in Ikorodu are cashing out from fish farm, from fowl farm, from pig farm. All manners of things are making money, tomato. See.
From Ikorodu?
Oh, yes. So you see a lot of people have to deliberately position themselves. What we're seeing and what a lot of us talk about, especially in the urban centers, where you have a lot of people who maybe probably they don't want to get into the rigor of cutlass and wool farming, find themselves in the city without qualification, without skill, and they let out the streets and they are expecting manna to fall from heaven. It will not fall, and it cannot fall. So what we should be talking about is that let people understand that, look, there's a market that needs to be filled. And every young and able-bodied person must get themselves productive. You don't wake up early in the morning and you are drinking alcohol, smoking weed, and you are thinking that life will become better. It cannot be better. So the only way life can become better for us, and you have to see the impact of GDP, is when you are producing yourself. So if you are not producing, the GDP will not trickle to you. For those who are producing, the GDP is trickling to them. A lot of people, wages have been increased over the period of time, and they are earning better now. People are living better now. The other day you were telling me that a plot of land somewhere in Atlantic City is selling for $2 billion. People are buying it. So what we must put into...
The elite are buying it.
Yeah, people are buying it. Those who are working hard. So we have to encourage ourselves to work hard.
Okay.
And I think that is the way to go.
Souq.
Okay.
First of all, how did you make that calculation? Where's the source of your data? That our GDP per capita has jumped to more than $1,000. Where did you get your data? How did you get the calculation where you have made your calculation around 216, 230 million people, and you said their level of economic productivity has increased?
Okay.
How did you do that? Because it's on this table too that Doc spoke about not being certain about where some of these persons or these institutions get their data, if their data actually reflected some of all the samples and all the categories that it was supposed to correct. The young children he was talking about, these are teenagers, these are not adults. They are under their parents were sponsoring all that. So their parents were the one watching.
So the money is entering their parents' hands.
Yes, good.
And so by the time they get to that point, the money will enter their hand also. So that's the point. So as long as they are busy.
I like doctor.
As long as they are busy, the money will enter their hands. So for me, it's quite important. How are you going to know? You check all the half-year earnings. I've been following the data in the last 1 week.
Half-year earnings.
Half-year earnings
of corporations.
No, of corporations.
Okay.
Of corporations that are submitted to SEC. Pre-profits.
Okay.
It's all positive, no negative.
Great. So
all positive, so no negative. See, our year-to-date on capital market, 34%. Better than any market anywhere else in the world. So how else are you going to understand this? So for GDP to trickle down.
Yes, that is where
this is where we have to hit the hammer and tell our people, our young people, able-bodied men and women out there, there is so much that is happening in Nigeria. People have to key and take advantage of these opportunities that are opening up and create wealth and make wealth for themselves. And this is the way to go. And that is the only way this thing will trickle down. Because if you are not productive, you'll be added to the group in terms of the divide to 216 or 220 million people. You will be in that number. But the actual sharing will not get to you.
And they'll be added to the group of people that are going through multi-dimensional poverty.
Yeah. So if you want the sharing to get to you, roll your sleeves, get to work, and of course, you will feel the impact of the GDP.
Thank you very much. Now, this is the reason why we come here every morning, and that is why we have SouQ News. We have to tell it to you as it is, in your face. We all need to get productive. We're going on a very short break. SouQ News is here. SouQ Business Landscape. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
It said it's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SouQ Business Landscape.
Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. Yeah, this is Sound Man. Keep watching Souq News.
My name is Babalola from Excel LED. Keep watching Souq News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to watch, always watch SouqNews TV.
Hi, I'm Tom Boggaballs, and please keep watching Souq News.
Wale Seriki, SLG Lagos Island East, Souq News. Keep out watching them and keep a lookout for them. They're up and coming, and we're proudly to be affiliated with them.
You alone where they make me go crazy. This your love in the cool of my brain. You're my medicine, I need you all day. Yo, it's Blackface Nigeria, and you're watching SouqNews TV. Keep it locked on this dial, don't change it. You know what I say? Blackface Nigeria, love no bad.
Dr. Souq A. Adedeji, whose leadership has significantly transformed Nigeria's tax administration, is a distinguished first-class graduate in accounting from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and he currently serves as the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
I firmly believe in the wisdom encapsulated in the statements. Revenue growth is the lifeblood of the nation's economy, providing means to fulfill essential duties to the citizens. These words capture the core principle that will guide us as we navigate the challenging terrain ahead, ensuring that our nation thrives and fulfills its obligation to its citizens. In our pursuit of greater fiscal future, we are determined to align ourselves with President Bola Tinubu's Extreme Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee. This collaboration will enable us to shape the prosperous fiscal landscape that will empower our nation's growth and development.
Born on January 8, 1978 in Ogbomoso, Oyo State, Nigeria, Dr. Adedeji is an accomplished accountant and public officer with extensive expertise in corporate taxation and public finance. His journey in public service began in 2011 when he was appointed as Commissioner for Finance in Oyo State. In that capacity, Adedeji introduced transformative financial reforms, most notably the establishment of the Treasury Single Account (TSA) to streamline government revenues and expenditures. In March 2021, President Muhammadu Buhari appointed Adedeji as Executive Secretary of the National Sugar Development Council (NSCDC). In this capacity, he founded the Nigeria Sugar Institute and spearheaded the Sugar Backward Integration Program, which sought to enhance local sugar production and
take Nigeria, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Tariff said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep it for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq business landscape.
Welcome back. This is still Souq business landscape, and let's do the Lord's work. Here we tell you to get to work. Doc says it without mincing words. And we also tell you opportunities, though not financial advice. Now, goat farming is rapidly becoming one of Nigeria's most lucrative livestock ventures, attracting both local and diaspora investors due to its low input cost and strong market demand. Industry experts highlight the animal's resilience, fast reproduction rate, and multiple uses, meat, milk, and leather, as key factors driving profitability. Farmers can't start small, definitely. You can't start small with minimal capital. While market data shows Nigeria imported $1.33 million worth of goat meat in 2022. Underscoring huge untapped opportunities for domestic production. Industry stakeholders say profitability hinges on proper housing, hygiene, and breed selection, with West Africa's dwarf goats recommended for beginners. With Nigeria consuming over 365,000 metric tons of goat meat annually, but meeting only 30% of local demand, experts see a massive investment gap. They urge training, credit access, and ranch development to scale production, reduce import, and expand Nigeria's participation in the global goat meat export market. We are still talking about export when we've not even met our local consumption. Goat meat.
And the local consumption is quite small, just 365,000. And we're only meeting 30% of. No. We actually did. We're
only meeting 30% of that.
Oh, we're only meeting 30% of that, which I even think it's quite small.
Which means 70% is coming in.
It's coming in. And that's a huge loss.
That's a huge market first.
First of all, it's a huge market. But it's a huge loss because we're not doing it locally. And if you actually have conversation about this and you speak to people about it, and the tendency that we'll argue, but this is goat nevertheless. We have supplements from cows.
Let's talk about goat.
I know we have supplements for fish, and we have supplements from chicken. We have supplements from guinea fowl. And we have other supplements that could supplement the goat. So if goat is not the only protein, it's not the only beef.
Can I puncture this tire of yours? Okay. 4 of them. The cow you talked about, we import a lot of them from Nigeria.
From Nigeria Republic.
From even Chad, that is far, from Cameroon. The chicken you talked about, we import a whole lot of them from the West. So you see that we are still shooting ourselves in the foot.
No, in all of this, in all of the goat market, the fish market,
we don't even harvest half of what is coming to this country.
Fine, yes. Okay, let's say we're doing 30% in goat, we're doing 40% in cow, we're doing 25% in this, in chicken, we're doing 35%. All those are the supplements that come together. So what we should be talking about is our total consumption of protein.
Total consumption.
Most especially not just beef.
At what point should we fold our sleeve and start farming goats?
I think there's gap in all of it, of course, because there's so much meat or protein that's imported into Nigeria. Whether it's chicken, whether it's beef, whether it's fish, there's so much of importation that's coming into Nigeria, and it's massive. A sister of mine went to the north some few days back to go look for goats, but they had to go all the way to Nigeria Republic to be able to source these animals to come. But I think there's a whole lot that culture has done to us. And again, I go back to our early days, even as students. There are a lot that we need to do in terms of our curriculum, agricultural science curriculum. Yes, we were taught agricultural science, all the basic theories. That people must understand today that the way that farming are done commercially to be viable, that the farming business should be taught along agriculture. Because as a child, I went to school, I read agriculture. The most we have is that they take you to school garden where you plant yam with hoe and cutlass, and you wade around it. And I'm not even sure that that is still being done today in most of the schools. That children who read agriculture, they read it only in the book and they cannot see the commercial viability of agriculture. In my own village those days, the way they used to do it is that if I have a fowl, a male fowl, or a female fowl, I loan it to you.
Okay.
So you breed it in your compound. Same with goats.
Okay.
Same with dog. You breed it in your compound.
When you're done,
and when it produces, the person who is giving you the loan and yourself, you share the offspring.
Wow.
So, and of course, the goat just wander around the village, the fowl wander around the village. But then, of course, it was a huge source of protein because during the major celebrations, like during Easter, during Christmas and New Year, you don't actually need to go buy any meat. You just take one of your goats and then you slaughter, and then food is ready. But they are not actually, they were not farmed, as it were, which is the same problem that we're talking about today with this herder cattle crisis, that we have not been able to transcend the culture of this, what they call it, nomadic kind of animal husbandry, which was so prevalent in our earlier years. And I think this is where the emphasis needs to be, that if I want to have a good farm, the goats are going to be in a confinement where foods are going to be supplied to the goat, just the way you are feeding your chickens. And then you grow them, and then, of course, off to the market, they are sold. So that culture had to change. And this is where I was so happy when the president was telling Benue State Governor that he needs him to give him a land, not as government, but as private individual, because he also wants to do farm in Benue, at least to lead the road to say, okay, this is how farm is to be done. And the president was quite specific that there are nations who are living up just milk, countries like Denmark, countries like Switzerland, Holland. These countries are small countries, but they are making so much from animal husbandry. And we need to learn from this country how they have been able to do it, that you can raise a cow that can weigh 900 kg, full of milk and flesh. So that needs to happen, because there's so much gap when you look at it from every opportunity. You see, if someone is farming goat and that's what you are doing, you are making so much money. If it is a cow that you're farming, so much of money. If it is pig, if it is a sheep. I know my father-in-law used to have a small ranch in the backyard where she does sheep farming. And they are breeding. And of course, they make so much money selling, but they are not allowed to roam, so you have to fence it around and provide those things that they eat, which of course you can source locally. And you don't really need to invest in it so much. Maybe cassava peel, yam peel or something. So this is enough for the goats to live. And they leave some leaves, fresh leaves from the bush. So these are the things that people need to get into. Because we're talking about a huge market gap, even locally, not even to talk about export opportunities. So we can't be living in this very, very virgin land and be complaining of hunger
of GDP
in the midst of ocean. Okay. And the soap is entering into our eyes. And I think those things should stop.
Dear Doc, if you're in the midst of ocean, you won't worry about soap. It's getting out of the ocean. I promise you. Pray, who should get involved?
Okay, private investors. Now,
who are these private investors?
Well, we remember there was a time, not too far from now. In fact, that's even one of the reasons why we have the Ministry of Livestock.
Yeah.
That's even one of the reasons why we have it. Now, some states are just going to be the market. Some states are just going to be where the farming will be domiciled. Just the way Babajide Sanwo-Olu start talking about the food bank and the food trust, just the way they did for security trust fund, and they want to have that. Niger State governor is saying, don't worry, I'm giving you, because Lagos is a market, I'm going to give us 500,000 acres of land just to dedicate to plant this food for Lagos, because we are going to be, that is how it should be done.
Lagos is dropping money to offtake the produce.
Lagos also is dropping money to offtake that, of course, yes. When we look at goat farming and all of that, if you go to Alabarago, or you go to somewhere on your way to Ibafo, or I'm trying to
those are markets.
Yes, those are just markets. They're not the goat farms. But you know what? By the time you ply those routes, you see numbers, tens of trucks that are carrying these goats and these cows straight into Lagos and straight into these markets. Where are they coming from? Of course, they're coming from goat farms.
most of those
not from Lagos
are not coming from Nigeria.
Okay, fine. They are not coming from Nigeria, but we know most of them too are coming from the north, from the northern part of the country. Whilst we can say not all of them.
Niger is also
there. But we are not importing with the dollar from Niger Republic or from Chad. We are not using the dollar to import.
But right now,
some of them actually just tend to some of these their cows and their goods, and because the borders are porous, they stray and walk into Nigeria, and they are just working.
Yeah,
and the markets are
freely.
However, yes, because there is a loss in that. But do remember that. Yes, I think it's better. We do that.
Catching yourself.
Yes, but you know, we're not getting them using dollars. However, some of them are domiciled in the north, and in the northern part of the country, we have most of this farm. The former governor of Kano State, Mr. Ganduje, equally himself, when this land, the Ruga issue was, pitching the northern governors against the southern governors against the northern governors, he told, including Lagos State too, he made a statement that, look, just come back to Kano, we will give you land. Just come back to Kano State, we will give you land for your ranches. I said, okay, Fred, this is good. I think other governors in the north should take a cue from this. And even if in the southern part, people are going to go into that, of course they do that. And most times they are not northerners that do this farming in the southern part of the country. In Lagos State, it is the indigenes of Lagos that do that. Or maybe I'm saying indigenes because they are Yorubas. A few that I've seen are Yorubas. But you know what? They are not doing the right goat farming or the cow farming, ranching of the thing.
We can start anywhere.
Yes, I know, but Doc, the reason let me point this out. Let me point this to address the reason why I'm saying that they were not strategic, and they do it instead in a way that it will become detrimental and dangerous to the people in society. Some of them are landlords and they own spaces, but yet they will not confine them in those spaces. They let them out. You are driving on the very main road, a major road, and you see these goats and these cows straight on those major roads. And sometimes if you mistakenly hit one with your vehicle, it's trouble. So they should provide spaces for them just to keep them. Because the reason I'm saying that, I saw that thing happen. I walked into the police station and I told the police officers, you need to arrest the owners of these cows. You need to arrest the owners of these goats because they are straying.
I agree with you. That's what I said. That is the culture shift we need.
We need
a culture shift.
In major places.
But talking about who should start.
Everyone should get into it.
Yes, in your backyard.
Everyone should get into it.
A little small ranch in your backyard that can take up to 10 goats. 10 goats in Chuk's backyard. 10 goats in my own backyard.
I'll do
that. That's already 30. Now, the beauty is the fact that, you see, this goat keep producing. Every 2 years, you have the offspring coming up. And before you know it, in a year, if it's 2, you keep them male and female. In 2 years, they have increased in numbers. And so, it's lucrative. There is money in it. And chooks may not even necessarily now need to go to the market to even buy protein. When the...
can you call it goat meat when you call it protein?
Yeah, when the ranch is getting expanded, what do? You take one issue of wood here now, and then of course the family can be very happy.
You go to the market and sell.
This is what it is. You can sell and make additional money, and it does not even take you so much. It's to provide them water to drink and some forages that you can put in the place for them to eat daily.
And vaccinate them.
Yes,
I think Nigerians are even more strategic because they felt, most especially last year, when it is June, July, they start rearing chickens because they know it's going to be expensive and comes at the end of the year. So they start, and they don't only do that for chickens. They do for goats too, and they do for sheep. So because they don't want to buy by themselves. In fact, they want to sell to their neighbors. So they start doing that. And if it's something that everyone can do and get by.
Okay, while everyone is trying to do and getting by, we need to, let's Dr. always say, fold our sleeve and get our hands dirty. We need to start providing our own protein. Your own goat meat, that as soon you like buying. Why not if you sell it to the person that's going to do the actual cooking? That would be a nice one. Let's keep going. Federal government has formally adopted the National Industry Relations Policy framework designed to reduce labor disruptions and foster harmonious workplace relationship nationwide. Introduced during a recent Federal Executive Council meeting, the policy aims to regulate trade union activities, enhance tripartite collaborations among government employees and workers, and align national labor practices with International Labor Organization standards. Okay, now let's stop here. Are we looking at better ways of having government, labor union, private sector workers relationship, and we just get people working without strikes, without rancor, without what's the easiest we'll get to see? Queries of non-compliance, not doing jobs, and see more productivity?
Well, work will still be work as long as the capital is there, and the owner of capital and those who are laboring to sustain the capitals, that relationship will always be there. It's a relationship of mutual suspicion because you're thinking that somebody is ripping you off, and of course, there's always this need for people to always want to protest. So to that very extent, of course, you find that unionism will always be there because it's also a part of the collective bargain mechanism that people agree to say, okay, we want to negotiate for what our right. But what for me is not very healthy is the disruptions that it causes on society. And I feel that people can be a lot more very, very proactive in terms of looking at what is defined as condition of service. As economy changes, I've actually advocated that we must get to a world where, for example, the price index become the determinant for wages.
Price index. Okay.
So as the index changes, of course, the wages of workers should change with the index. In that way, of course, whatever thing they are earning or taking home, inflation will not eat it away. So everybody be on the safe side. So I don't need to say, okay, tomorrow we are protesting, there's going to be salary increase or no. No, as the price indices are changing, then of course the state must be able to understand. And then of course even private employers should be able to know that, look, prices are changing and therefore wage rates have to change also.
Prices are changing, wage rates have to change. Okay, Pri, let me get to you. As we speak right now, there is a warning strike by nurses in Abuja.
Not warning anymore, they are on strike.
They are still warning. They will resume the major thing very soon, but we don't know that yet if they are going to call it off. Okay, now Pri, for government, if you look at the demands they are asking for, is majorly finance. And when this kind of strikes happen, majorly to those that are in that kind of sector, we get to see the losses are huge. It's not just the government that are suffering, but the people, the ordinary person that hitherto might not even have contributed to what they are striking for, what they are protesting for, get to suffer. How do we get to see this kind of strike action nipped before it gets to this stage?
I think the government is just doing this for within itself. I don't think it is equally trying to consider the private sector, because when the labor union and the trade union congress, when they go on strike, the private sector doesn't go with them normally, if we're looking at it very, very critically. They don't, and that's because they've lost trust in labor. So if government is trying to balance government, because the relationship is tripartite, the government, the employer, and the labor. So if they are trying to come together to adopt an industrial, a standard of labor, a regulation that is amenable to what is obtainable in the International Labor Organization, then that means the government will be having conversation with all parties, with all stakeholders. Now we are hearing only the government in this. Where's labor? so that when in the course of implementation, we don't hit the roadblock, we don't hit a bottleneck.
Okay.
Hopefully, labor.
Speak to this. Nurses going on strike right now. How do you see them as a profession that should down tools?
No, not at all. Not nurses, not doctors, and that is why whenever they are giving warnings or whenever they feel marginalized or not cared for, the government should take it very, very seriously to engage the leadership and to speak with them and probably reach a compromise. Most of the things they are requesting for, it may not be easy or possible for the government to meet them at that particular point in time, but there should be an understanding between both parties. I think the grounds with labor and the government is that, most of the time the government does not really honor its own part of the agreement. Its own part of the memorandum of understanding, most of which they've signed. They don't most of the time agree. They don't most of the time. After they have agreed, they don't most of the time, feel obligated they don't implement it.
Tenants of the agreement.
Yes.
But
So
I think also, to a very large extent, in our own country, there are a few things that, you see, we blame government for almost everything, and so government this, government that. Government in their own little way, they are doing the things that they are supposed to be doing. One thing that became very, very prominent recently is the fact that you see institutions of government who hire in the middle of the year. Budgets are not provided for. And then whatever subvention or the envelopes that they are getting from the federal or for government, whichever level, rather than use it for the purpose for which they are budgeted, you're not transferring them into overhead, which is not healthy. And a lot of medical institutions do a lot of that. So when you're going to do recruitment, you must ensure that it's factored into the budget. Because most of all these equipment things that we're talking about is the fact that the way people run in Nigeria, I was listening to a chap recently and he said, look, do you think that Nigerians don't know what to do? That we don't have brain? It's not, we have brain. We know what to do. We know what is right. But the willpower to do what is right is what is missing in our equation. You see, this wait for your turn syndrome, which is prevalent in almost all government institutions, is actually what is responsible for some of these industrial disputes. The workers need equipment, but the head of that agency has chosen to spend the money elsewhere than to provide the thing that is needed for work. And of course, the medical side is a very complex one because of the ego trip between those who are medical doctors, those who are pharmacists, those who are laboratory scientists, and then the nurse. And everybody is trying to struggle for a kind of supremacy. And that creates a lot of toxic environment for proper work to be done. You see, we must understand that when we're going into a sector like nursing, for example, like medicine, for example, we're not going in there really for the money side of it. It's first and foremost that we're taking a responsibility to save lives. And that is what is important. And I think that we must get to that level where if people are working in the same environment and they have accepted a condition of work, and then midway into employment, you're not saying, no, you gave that man 20,000. Now I'm not accepting what you give to me before. You have to level it up to what that man is earning. And I think these are issues that shouldn't occur, because at the point of entry, you really have signed into a contract that you wanted this job. And this money was offered as what remuneration is. Now the question even to ask is to see, is productivity getting better?
Okay. While we are asking, is productivity getting better, let's get straight to our next story for today. The Federal Executive Council, yes, you heard me, approved 68.7 billion for electrification project across 8 federal universities and a teaching hospital. This project to be implemented under the Rural Electrification Agency's Energizing Education program focused on delivering solar hybrid systems to support education and healthcare operation. The initiative is expected to be completed within 3 months. Good. And aims not only to stabilize power supply, but also to boost agro-processing, cold storage, and small rural enterprise linked to academic and medical hubs. Now we are having a project that is coming with a time frame, 3 months. But now let's get back to this project. Now, before the removal of subsidy, partial removal of power subsidy, hospitals were also complaining at that particular point in time. Because left for them, they said what they were doing was social service. And they were also looking at interventions from the state or local government or states or the federal to really subsidize their electric consumption. Same thing was coming from the tertiary institutions. Now we had this partial removal of subsidy and tariff went up. Then things went haywire. Universities were the most hit. Hospitals were almost collapsing because they could not bear the burden. Now government is gradually coming up. Now this is just the beginning. Should we start seeing where schools take responsibility of their own power solutions?
Yeah, I think that's where we are at the moment.
Not government coming to drop money.
Yeah, I think that's where we are at the moment. People must get to understand that. You see, some of all these things, they are not as if that they are really very expensive, and that these institutions are not even making enough money to get this thing done. But you see, it's like they say, where your treasure is, there your heart is. That's the bigger problem for most of the institutions. But I think the state can intervene in some of all these things. I remember when my son was in one of the Lagos State Model College in Cancun, as far back as 2015, I think it was Governor Fashola, he has, 2015, 2016, he had given all the model colleges in Lagos 24 hours live via solar. It was a good investment. So the school is like littered every day throughout. So this is where we have to begin to hold people accountable. So whether it's the, what's it called, primary health care that belong to the state, local government, they should be able to solarize that environment, and it doesn't cost so much to give a small unit, maybe 60 kVA of solar. Same with schools and institutions. But I think the bad part of it is that a lot of these institutions also must also see that, because I was speaking at an event sometime in Kano, and one of the professors was saying to me, so you need to come and see how our universities have become an ice block making industry. In terms of heavy consumption and usage. People are using hot plates to cook.
Government power.
Because government power is free. And that's why all those bills are going up. So we must also be responsible in the use of energy. And I think that's quite important. So we know to turn off, we know when to reduce usage so that the bills are not so much. But most importantly, for universities that are running electrical engineering departments, electricity should not be their problem.
Okay.
Because like they say, how do they put that proverb? Charity should begin at home.
You have just dropped and said what you were saying in Proverbs. Break it down. If we say our universities should be higher places of learning and come up with solutions, why have they not come up with solutions to generate power for themselves?
Well, I think these are the issues that we have to confront as a nation. People talk about everything is fund. There's no funding, that's what you will hear. But I can tell you that even if the fund is on the ground, nobody will do anything. Because fund has always come to the university, but what to do with your fund is where the priorities are. Because it's easier for you to give yourself a building contract, and that is quick to take money off. So people are, it's not funds are not there, but the priorities are what are wrong. Because if we prioritize those researches and even its commercialization, you see private individuals will come to the aid of these institutions to ensure that they support it to be able to power their environment. But unfortunately, like they say, greed is one very enemy of prosperity.
Okay, Priya, let's get to you. Let's leave universities and talk about hospitals. Take an example of Lagos hospitals. I think I've visited several Lagos hospitals, and you don't get to pay for consultation. You, aside if you pay for the first day when you come in, you don't get to. The only thing you pay for maybe is drugs are having subsidized in some of the hospitals. Mm-hmm. Now they are having power issues. Whose responsibility should it go to make sure that those hospitals have uninterrupted power? Should they be paying NEPA bills?
Okay. If they are subsidizing most of their services to the public, because that's the way the government can reach out to the people at the ebb of society and to make things easy for them. I remember I was going to one of these hospitals and I was given a bill to go to the pharmacy. I bought some of the medications from them and it was quite subsidized. A few that they don't have, I had to go outside. And just 1 or 2 of it was running to more than 10,000 naira. It was going to 20,000 naira and all of that. That's easy. So what the government should do is, if they are going to be doing that and their medication is being subsidized, the services are being subsidized, then we should equally subsidize their power. Yes, because we should equally subsidize some of the services that they're using, carrying out the services to enable them serve the public. Subsidize the power for them. Government is not Father Christmas, yes, but to its agencies, it has to be lenient, even if they are making some form of income.
Add this to it. Now we have distribution companies, Discos. They are the ones that we are paying money to for power. So how do they also know that this is a hospital?
Well, because those guys are business people, they'll be blind to that. They'll be blind to that, except the government comes into play in the midst. And remember when the government, when the government is involved, no, the government does not have to come in that way. Mm-hmm. Because for Enugu State, it's for totally. Now, I'm just specifically referring to these hospitals, which are government facilities that is meant to serve the public. So the discourse and the government should reach an agreement to make sure that, look, you're serving about 10 hospitals, states, secondary medical facilities in the state that belongs to the government of the state. So every month end, let's assume that the bill is going to run into 10 million naira, for example, that because it is the states and because the government is subsidizing the medication and the pharmaceutical, the drugs coming to the people from 10 million naira, let's assume the government will pay 5 or 6.5 million naira.
50% discount.
About let's say 35% discount.
That's still high.
Yes, it's still high.
Let me just take you back again to these strike issues. You see, I was asking a young daughter of mine yesterday, who is a nurse. She just started work about 2 or 3 months ago. And I said, "Oh, you went to work today?" She said, "Oh, we're on strike." And I said, "What are you striking for?" She has no idea.
The powers up there told her to go on strike.
She has no idea. I said, I think they were thinking about, is it allowance or something?
It's all about money right now. Theirs is all about money.
You see, this is an issue really that we also need to actually, when labor unionists or leaders who really represent themselves and all the basic people they work for, because if there are issues, everybody must be carried along, no matter how young they are in the ladder, to create those disruptions. So for us, it's just a holiday. 2, 3, 4 days ago, she doesn't see anything that will, of course, a strike. But these guys are always at the center. And we understand what is going on right now because we always try to see and position these things during huge area of politicking.
Okay. Why we run away from the politics?
Yes, we don't run away from it because it's important. Because these are the things that we must have to run away from. That when you now have a politicized labor union.
That's problematic.
It's problematic. They are no longer actually defending the rights of workers, but their political allies.
Whoever is playing. Okay, now let's look at this. What's it called? This particular project the government is doing. A whole lot of money is coming into it. 60-something billion is not moi. That's the Nigerian balance. If you don't know, are we looking at building, transferring, and handing off, or building and the institutions will still ask the federal government to keep coming for maintenance and all that?
I'm not sure government is going to invest that money and then go and be maintaining. But of course, the subvention will still come from government. Then again, the culture of maintenance in our environment is also very, very quite weak.
We should start holding people responsible.
Yeah, but that is why you're going to hold responsible. Like they say in my village, if the mother of every villager dies, is likely to rot in on the bed because nobody takes responsibility.
Now, we've mapped out universities, 6 of them. They have vice chancellors. They should be held accountable if anything happens, because the government has said in 3 months we'll deliver this. So if 3 months they didn't deliver it, we on this side will hold government and call them, what are you doing? So if government should deliver this, we should also hold the school authorities responsible in maintaining those particular facilities.
Yeah, but that is what to say. Who is going to hold who responsible? But see, you are the one who actually need the facility. So common sense would have determined that if government provides a facility for you, the onus of ensuring that that facility is functional is actually reliant on you. And so you have to own it. You have to take responsibility. But we live in an environment, that is the point I'm saying, because it does not belong to anybody.
When should it start belonging to everybody?
That is the point, and that's what we continue to have.
Okay,
that every government investment belongs to all of us. And all of us are paying taxes, and because we pay taxes, we must realize that it is the taxes that they are collecting from us that they are using to build these facilities. And so when it gets bad, that we are the one indirectly paying for it. Now, because a lot of people don't even understand what the tax system looks like, or some of them are not paid, so they don't really pay attention to maintenance, and this is a problem. So the things that you will not do in your private house, you do in government office. So until we start to own, and that's why I can't stop referring to the work of Professor Peter Eke, who said that until we transfer the allegiance from the primordial setting to the civic center, that we may not be able to get out of the current challenge that we face as a nation.
Okay.
Universities, when students are coming in during their payment of school fees, you could see some social fees that are being paid. Some of them include laboratory fees, some of them include electricity, some of them include maintenance for your hostel, you're paying for that, and a whole lot of other fees which are not part of the school, which are just part of the school fees. So if you're doing that, that means to an extent, the institutions themselves are saddled, they know they are saddled with the responsibility of maintenance. And from those funds, they are maintaining those outfits.
They should maintain.
Yes, they should maintain it. I would say maintaining. Because that is why when we talk of unionism, you know of some universities that, I know of some universities, power failure, then when I was in university, power failure, one day, 24 hours, the school authorities are getting warning from the student. It's not disrespectful warning. 24 hours power failure. The next day, if the power failure persists without the school authority, maybe by the DSA, coming to explain to the student that, look, this power failure or lack of power is caused by this, that, and the other, and we are working on it to fix it. The reason is that it's not something that can be handled just very quick and fast, that we need to work on it. The student will hold their peace. But if not, they are going to protest. And the school also have a law that if any protest from students that lasts for 72 hours, the school will be shut down.
Okay, before you shut the school down.
So No, I'm not. Well, no, I am not saying shut. I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to paint a picture of the different categories of people who hold each other responsible to maintain government facilities in order for us to continue to have those services that are very, very critical for our lives. So they watch each other, and the school authorities, they should be able to maintain that. If government is going to provide it, is the government going to be there? The subventions will come, yes, they're going to do that, but also the school authority is also getting some part of that subvention from students that pay that amount of money
for maintenance.
For maintenance.
We have our minute is almost running out, but before we go, I wanted to speak to this. Now, government is saying in 3 months, money is being called out, and I hope it's going to be released very soon. But now they're also looking at businesses and allied businesses within communities, in the campuses or around the campuses or within the hospitals or around the hospitals. How do you see them growing in the next after 3 months? How do you see them growing?
They pay. They will grow. But because one thing you have to know is when there is consistent electricity in any area, people go there. People troop down there because it's a great advantage. Not only people going there for residential purposes, businesses run down there. And if businesses run down there and they can depend on the power, the consistent nature of electric power there, they are going to pay the price. They will pay because they know how they are going to transfer the burden to continue to exist. And that is what all they want. And that is why handling power is very, very critical to Nigerian business growth and development.
Okay, I want to say thank you to everyone that has been part of this particular production for this beautiful Friday. It's a beautiful one from us. I want to say thank you very much. For everyone out there, remember, goat farming is good business. Goat meat is also very good protein. So you get to know that. We had a Trump story, but we are out of time. So don't worry, Trump is always in the news. I want to say thank you. For everyone out there, go and follow us on all our social media platforms. Our handle is very easy. SouqNews Television. Go on Twitter, which is X. Go on Facebook, we are there. Go on YouTube. Watch, talk, comment. For things you don't agree with, hey, this is time to talk about it. Let's keep talking. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks, and it's been a pleasure having you on board for today. Have yourself a splendid, splendid weekend. Priye?
Yes, for me, my name is Priye Kromale. I'm glad today is Friday. Good morning to you. Do have yourself a splendid weekend.
The Oracle himself.
Thank you, viewers, for being there. At least I get pepper soup. You see a wolf from Priye this evening. Thank God it's Friday. And you try and enjoy yourself. See you on Monday. Yes.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Tariff said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq business landscape.